Hello again team, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin and welcome to the first video for the 12 Days of Christmas mini-series. I've been really looking forward to making these videos. I've essentially been planning them since like mid-year, and this layout in particular was one that I was quite excited about. If you weren't sure what the 12 Days of Christmas mini-series was, well, first of all, hey, so glad you came across this video. But what it is that for 12 of the days before December 25th, 2020, I'm going to be putting up a plan with me video where I set up a Christmas/holidays related layout. As you can see here, and as the video title probably hinted at, the first layout we have is an advent calendar. On this one, I'm going to have 25 little flaps or doors, which when raised reveal something fun or festive to do on that day. For the header, to make this tie in with the rest of my pages for December, I'm using the same style of lettering where I have the all caps letters, but because I wasn't going to fit the title Advent Calendar with it all being in all caps, the word calendar is just done using my regular cursive. I've also included that wiggly line woven through the word Advent, and then this joins to the cursive. This represents a string of Christmas lights, which I then add the lights to using the Tombow Dual Brush markers. For each of the advent calendar doors, I've made these 2 centimeters across by 2.5 centimeters down. This meant that I could nicely fit 5 doors across and 5 doors down on the page, with 1 row of squares between each of them. With the way that I'm doing the advent calendar doors, these gaps are pretty important. Although some people who have done advent calendar style layouts like to stick the doors on top of the paper, I decided I wanted to cut these out instead. I used a craft knife, cutting mat, and ruler to carefully cut through 3 sides of the doors, leaving the top attached. If you're going to do this, please do be careful. You don't want to cut things you shouldn't, whether that be parts of your journal or parts of yourself. Take your time and pay attention to what you're doing. You'll see that I did have a little bit of difficulty making sure that my horizontal and vertical cuts actually lined up at the corners, so I did have to go back in and make sure each little door would open properly. In some cases, just using my craft knife to carefully separate the corners of the door from the page. Once they were all opened up, I then made sure to crease the top edge of each door so that they can easily be opened for each day. For each of the advent tasks, because I knew the spacing for each flap pretty precisely, I was able to make a table in Microsoft Word that I could then print out and stick onto the back of the page. This meant that when each of the flaps or doors were lifted, you could see what was written in the cells beneath them. Here you can see me setting up that table, so we have 11 columns and 11 rows. The outermost rows/columns are there so I have a little bit of overhang to actually stick the paper behind the advent calendar page. For any cell that I was going to be writing an advent calendar task in, I made sure to change it so it was the same size as the door, and the other cells were sized to fit those gaps that I left between each door. I then wrote each of my advent calendar tasks in the larger spaces and made sure to erase any internal lines before printing. This meant that I wouldn't see any grid lines if I didn't quite line up the paper properly when I stuck it to the back of the advent calendar page. I did choose to keep the outermost lines though, just so that I knew what size to cut the paper to, which could then be used to effectively line the paper up nicely. Hopefully that all makes sense, at least if not in my description, then hopefully with the visuals. Here I'm just putting some double-sided tape along the top, left and right edges, as well as vertically between each of the doors. Along the bottom I'm going to have washi tape, so I didn't need to have the double-sided tape here as well. From first touch of the pen to final erasings, this layout took 45 minutes. A little bit more time consuming than some of the other spreads I'll have as part of this series, but as I said, you really do want to be careful when you're using a craft knife. To finish this one off though, I just laid some red glitter washi along the top of the page. I've been really enjoying using these glitter washies for December, and it's just an easy way to add some decoration. Not too sure at this stage how I'm going to cover up or use the white paper on this layout though, but that's a problem for later. Alrighty team, and as you can see we have 25 little doors, each with a little advent task. This one is one of the more fiddly setups that I'll have for 12 Days of Christmas, but hopefully you enjoyed day 1. Thank you for watching, team. If you liked today's video, please do make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you wanted to see more from me, feel free to go check out one of my other videos. Until next time, bye!